I would say there's two, and I have more than two, but I have two mentors, and I'll just explain a little bit, and the reason I'll explain it is because they are absolute and total polar opposites. One, my mother, who is, she prefers to call it bohemian, we call her a hippie. I grew up in California. My mom slowly downgraded cars until now she's on a bike, and shops only local, organic, farmers markets. The vitamin cabinet is not so much a cabinet as it is now a complete and total storage locker. But she always told me that there really are no parameters on who you want to be. And always ask the question, because the worst they can say is no. So I've asked a lot of questions and heard a lot of no's, but they've also heard a lot of yeses. But my other mentor, who is in Boston, and when I moved to Boston, I didn't know anyone. I had sold everything that I owned and got on a train and got off the train at Back Bay Station on Super Bowl Sunday, right after a blizzard. I didn't own snowshoes. I had like 4 suitcases that were packed to the brim, and I knew one girlfriend from college, and I'd been introduced by a coworker from DC to this guy, Matt, and she said, he knows everyone from busboys to CEOs to founders of companies. You should go meet with him. So I go and I meet with him, and I've come from DC, but here's my hippie mom, and I'd gone to school in Eugene, kind of a hippie place, and so my mom's like, what do you mean, they don't have a food co-op? I was like, no, they don't. So I go and I meet with him, and he grew up very Boston. I mean, he is central casting for Boston, and I didn't even really understand how to relate. I was like, do I need to be wearing a suit? I know that Boston is very dressed up. So he sat down, and he had very similar pearls of wisdom to share with me, but he said, and he kind of schooled me through kind of the rough around the edges Boston stuff that I didn't necessarily know, but he said to me, you know what, kid, the one thing that you have to remember is in Boston, the most important thing that somebody has is time. So from 9 to 5, if you are going to meet with someone, regardless of what it's for, you need to know what you want to talk about and get in and out. And if you go in with that mentality, they'll likely give you an extra 20 minutes or an extra half hour. So between knowing that the only thing they could say was no, and then knowing that if I knew what I wanted to accomplish in any face-to-face meeting with somebody, they really were giving me their time, which really is your most valuable currency during the day. And so I felt like if I could keep it that simple, then I really could be successful. And I think that in meeting people with the guidance of my two polar opposite mentors, who get along fantastically quite when they met, but it was something that I think I will continue to share. Those are pieces of advice that I'll continue to share.